WWE Money in the Bank 2022 is taking place this Saturday, July the 2nd in Las Vegas, Nevada. The MGM Grand Arena, of course, it was originally meant to be a stadium show, but due to low ticket sales, they had to move location. I'm hoping you're not going to move location during this video because I'm going to go through the match card with you and then give my predictions. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to SCW and drop a comment in the comments below who you think will be walking away with the Money in the Bank contracts this year for the men and the women. Who do I think is going to do it? Well, before I can give you my prediction, we need to know who's in the matches. So first off, let's go through the match card for this Saturday's Money in the Bank Premium Live event. So that is the match card then for this Saturday. You can use the chapters feature here on YouTube to skip ahead to your favourite match, but I recommend that you stay for the entire video. I've got a lot to say on each match. I'm going to kick things off then with the women's Money in the Bank ladder match. As you can see, we've got 7 competitors involved. From the Raw side, we've got Asuka, we've got Liv Morgan, Alexa Bliss, and Becky Lynch, who got in just last night. And from the SmackDown side, we've got Raquel Rodriguez, we've got Lacey Evans, and we've also got Shotzi. Honestly, of the 2 ladder matches, I think that this one is the least predictable of them. I do think as well that this could be the best women's Money in the Bank ladder match of all time, if you ask my personal opinion. I think we've got quite a few contenders in this match though. I will rule 1 or 2 out immediately. I'm gonna rule out Shotzi. I do think she's there to make up the numbers, sadly, but it's good to see that she's finally getting a bit of an opportunity. She's got a couple of wins under her belt to get here to Money in the Bank. I'm hoping she'll have a good showing on the show. Raquel Rodriguez as well, she's just come in to WWE, just come to SmackDown. She's had a couple of great matches against Ronda Rousey. If you want to make a new star straight away and push her to the moon, then yeah, it would make a lot of sense to give her the Money in the Bank contract. But on SmackDown, I don't think she necessarily needs it at this point. She's still sort of working her way up. I personally let the journey just go naturally. I think she can become a top contender on her own. But elsewhere, I think it could be any of the 5 that could win this. I mean, if you go to look at some of the other contenders, Asuka, for example, she won Money in the Bank before, and of course then she was arguably given the Raw Women's Championship when Becky Lynch went off to go and beat her mum. Could she actually do it on her own this time? She's actually got some motive going into this match. Becky Lynch, who arguably has been on a downward spiral since WrestleMania, has crept through the back door. She lost the qualifying match to Asuka, but she won the second chance 6-pack challenge last night on Raw to get into Money in the Bank. Could she be the one to creep underneath everybody's nose who's been on a roll to get in this match and actually be the one to win the briefcase? Certainly could be interesting. Alexa Bliss is another shout. I think someone has done it before. She's won Money in the Bank. Certainly for me, that she's come back. She's got rid of a lot of the characteristics she had previously. She's sort of got a new direction going forward, but she's lacking a current bit of direction for me. Money in the Bank could be what helps her going forward in WWE for the rest of 2022. Of course, as well, you've got Lacey Evans, of course, who's been pouring her heart out to everybody on SmackDown. Of course, then she was traded to Raw, traded back to SmackDown again. She seems to have a home now on SmackDown, and I wouldn't be surprised that now she seems to have a home and she's on our TV screens if WWE might start pushing her to the moon. She's definitely an outside bet for me of winning this match. And of course, last but not least, Liv Morgan, someone last year who was just looking for an opportunity in WWE, and she managed to creep herself into Money in the Bank. Fans really got on her side, and look where she's gone since then. A big championship rivalry going against Becky Lynch. Of course, she's going for the tag team titles as well. Had a rivalry with Rhea Ripley. Recently, she's been teaming up with Alexa Bliss, but of course, last night on Raw, she actually beat Alexa Bliss actually in a singles match. So this would be a great way to show fans, look, you can get behind someone. We are listening, and we are going to give them a push at the end of the day. Because if Liv Morgan wins, that would be, you know, showing how far she's come in 12 months. It could almost be the perfect place to push her from this point on. And at the start of the year, Liv Morgan was my prediction. At the start of the month, Liv Morgan was my prediction. But coming into Money in the Bank, it's changed. Like I say, I wouldn't be surprised if WWE was to give the Money in the Bank to Lacey Evans. I do think that there's an outside chance of that, but my actual prediction for you is going to be Becky Lynch. Last one in and could be the last one standing. I just think as well that with Becky Lynch with the briefcase, there's so many possibilities, so much storyline narrative you can go with it. I do feel that she could be the first one that could fail a cash-in attempt, but she also could cash in, and she could cash in big and become a champion in WWE once again, and perhaps she could even do it on the same night of Money in the Bank. I will speculate that as we go into other matches. But final prediction for the women's Money in the Bank ladder match, I'm going with Big Time Bex, Becky Lynch. Next, let's talk about the SmackDown Women's Championship. Ronda Rousey defending against Natalya. Both ladies have done their best to build this up as best as they can, but personally for me, there is a bit of lack of interest in this match. It's a shame really on the build that there's a lack of interest, because I do know they had a singles match during Ronda Rousey's first run in WWE on Monday Night Raw, and actually it was a really good match, and I do hope that they prove a lot of people wrong, including myself, this Saturday. But as for a result, I can't see any other way than Ronda Rousey retaining the SmackDown Women's Championship. This is just filler in my opinion, but as I spoke about on the last match, Ronda Rousey has been cashed in on with Money in the Bank previously at Money in the Bank. If the women's ladder match is first on the show, I do wonder if Ronda could be slightly vulnerable, especially if Becky is the one that wins the briefcase, because we're going to build somehow to Becky Lynch versus Ronda Rousey at next year's WrestleMania. If they can avoid each other in the draft as well, it could actually make things very interesting on how they will get to LA next year. And personally for me, I don't think it needs to go through a Royal Rumble. That's just my personal opinion on it. And of course, if you do remember the original Cody Rhodes adverts for this, that someone that wins Money in the Bank could be in the main event of WrestleMania, well, that would make sense then if they went big time with this and Becky Lynch was to cash in on Ronda Rousey. Now, personally for me, I'm going to give an opinion on this quickly. I do hope that Becky has the briefcase for some considerable time, because in my personal opinion, every time the women have the Money in the Bank briefcase, it's usually cashed in on the same night or a day later. I'd like a bit of storyline narrative for once with this, and like I say, you can have a lot of fun with Becky Lynch as the Money in the Bank briefcase holder. She can fail trying to cash it in a number of times before she successfully does it. She could even tease the idea that she could come for Ronda for a number of weeks and wait for the perfect time to do so. Or she could do it and then fail the cash in, and then of course perhaps both will switch roles at a later date, and then Becky goes into the babyface at WrestleMania and Ronda goes in as the heel champion. But either way, I think they could be building to that, which is why I'm going to go for Ronda to retain here, to keep an eye out for a briefcase. But I do think Becky Lynch, of course, will be winning that Money in the Bank as well. Next, we'll talk about the Raw Women's Championship. Bianca Belair defending against Carmella. Of course, we were supposed to get Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley originally for the Raw Women's Championship at this show. And of course, Rhea Ripley has been pulled from WWE TV for the moment with injury. Hopefully, she'll be making a very speedy recovery. I do think long-term, that is going to be the match, Bianca Belair versus Rhea Ripley, a program for the Raw Women's Championship. I wouldn't be surprised if Rhea was to become your next Raw Women's Champion as well. So for that reason, even though Carmella is back on our TV sets, she's been missing for a long time. It feels a bit underwhelming for me, but the women on Raw this week, they did as best they can to build this match up for me personally. It feels that Carmella does have a point to prove here, and I expect a fairly good showing from Carmella at this show. Hopefully no more, masks on her face when she's wrestling. Just go as Carmella, as old as what we saw before. The Mella is money seems to be back. The only down part for me as well with this match is that we have seen it numerous times before last year when Bianca was SmackDown Women's Champion, so this is filler for me. I don't expect it to go anywhere. I don't think there'll be a cash-in on Bianca either. I think Bianca would just simply retain the Raw Women's Championship and will go on another day to take on Rhea Ripley at a future premium live event, which hopefully will be SummerSlam. Next, let's talk about the WWE Unified Tag Team Championships. We've got the Usos defending against the Street Profits. Two teams with great chemistry, always deliver in a WWE ring when they compete. The Street Profits actually won a championship contenders match to get this opportunity at Money in the Bank. They've appeared a few times on SmackDown as well. There's been a lot more verbal discussions in the last couple of weeks. We've seen some singles matches as well. We finally get the tag team match this Saturday in Las Vegas. To give a prediction, I think the Usos are retaining here, although I think I'd be quite happy for this to carry over to another month. I expect a decisive pinfall victory. The Street Profits are probably the team that are best in position right now to get a championship opportunity, but I don't think they're going to be the ones to take the titles from the Usos. The key thing to keep an eye on with the Usos as well, of course, Roman is rumoured being a part-time, that he could lose one or both of his championships in the near future. It all then means that the Usos, in my opinion, should lose at least one, if not both, championships first to put the pressure on the tribal chief. It doesn't make sense for Roman to drop a championship first and the Usos to do it second. So when will the Usos drop a championship? Perhaps SummerSlam or Clash at the Castle could be that destination. But for me, it will not be here at Money in the Bank. I expect the Usos to retain and retain decisively. Just as a quick fantasy booking idea, just before we go on to the next match, I'd quite like the Usos to defend both championships at SummerSlam, perhaps similar to like WrestleMania 2000. Do you remember when Kurt Angle was Intercontinental Champion and European Champion? There was 2 falls in the match where he defended both titles, and I think that's how they could do that, to get the championships off the Usos, perhaps at SummerSlam or at Clash at the Castle. Perhaps you could have like the Street Profits from Raw and the Viking Raiders, or the New Day from SmackDown. You could do 2 separate matches where you can actually have 1 fall for one title and then 1 for the other, or you can just have a 1-fall match. So if the Street Profits win, they win the Raw Tag Team titles, or if Viking Raiders or New Day win the match, then SmackDown Tag Team titles go to them and the Usos are just left with 1 championship or neither, depending on how the match would turn out. Next, let's talk about the United States Championship. Theory defending against Bobby Lashley. I think the winner of this match is actually going to be the United States Championship. How long has it been since we've had 2 top contenders vying for this championship? And the United States Championship is creeping its way now back onto premium live events. It's good to see. We just need to see that now with the Intercontinental Championship as well. I think with Gunther, it will do that eventually, hopefully, at SummerSlam. But judging on this match here, the build hasn't been anything special for me, with the pose downs and stuff like that, and of course with Alpha Academy and these sort of handicap matches. But I do think the match will deliver on the night. And to look and see who would be good as United States Champion going out at the end of this show, well, I think there's a case and argument for both superstars, because Theory, he did confront John Cena in Laredo, Texas on John Cena's 20-year anniversary in WWE. Is that going to lead to a match at SummerSlam? Only time will tell. On the other hand, Bobby Lashley is a former United States Champion. Of course, he was 2 years ago a dominant champion as well for a very, very long time. In fact, when he lost that championship, he actually wasn't involved in the decision in a triple threat match at Elimination Chamber, which involved Riddle and I believe John Morrison, if I'm not mistaken, at the time. Bobby Lashley took that championship to heights that he'd not seen for many, many years and has not seen since. So maybe it makes a lot of sense for Bobby Lashley to become your new United States Champion. But I'm gonna stick with my prediction as Theory, because Theory, when confronting John Cena, said he's already a champion in WWE before John Cena was at his age. And if they are going to have a match at SummerSlam, Theory needs to go in looking as strong as possible, in my opinion. If he goes in losing the United States Championship, well, I think people would feel a bit more sour about the match. Would it feel the same? I'm not so sure. The other counter argument though is Theory going to the next level? Is it right to drop that championship here because he's going to become a top guy in WWE with beating the likes of John Cena at SummerSlam and then going on to top level programs on Monday nights? We'll have to wait and see. It's very difficult. It can go either way. I think it's the least predictable match of the entire show. But for me, I'm going to go for Theory to retain the US Championship. Last but not least then, we've got the men's Money in the Bank ladder match, and of course you see we've got a vacant spot. We'll be discussing about that in a couple of seconds, but in the match we know we've got Seth freaking Rollins, we've got Omos, we have Riddle, and from SmackDown we've got Drew McIntyre, Sheamus, and Sami Zayn. Well, talking about that mystery spot, it was supposed to be Kevin Owens against Ezekiel, or one of his other alter egos, Elias or Elrod, on Raw this past week. The match didn't happen, it was pulled for whatever reason. Ezekiel was in the house, but KO wasn't shown on TV. I think clearly KO was meant to win that match. We'll see. They did say that the qualifying match would take place at a later date. We'll have to wait and see if that'll be a live event or even a kickoff of Money in the Bank, because certainly they could do something like that if KO is not cleared in time for the show. If KO isn't in the match, who could film the spot? Let's hope it's not a Brock Lesnar or a returning Cody Rhodes with one arm trying to reach up. And before we say Brock wouldn't come in, he's done it before, even when he wasn't actually listed in the match. Personally, for me, as a fill-in spot, if Lashley was to win the United States Championship, I'd quite like Theory to take the spot. I think that would make a lot of sense to get him his heat back as well, to then go and face someone like John Cena afterwards as Mr. Money in the Bank would make a lot of sense for me. But hey, we don't know what the mystery spot is going to be, and it's not my prediction. So we'll wait and see who will fill that spot at a later date, and I would like to know who you think will fill it in the comments below. I still think ultimately Kevin Owens is the plan in WWE's eyes. But looking at some of the other contenders, Riddle is in this match, and of course Riddle lost the qualifying match, but then won the second chance battle royal to get here. I don't see him winning this match. I do think it's kind of filler to have him in there. It's a place to get him on the premium live events. Of course, he's not meant to go for the WWE Unified the Universal Championship at this stage either. He lost to Roman Reigns on SmackDown a couple of weeks ago. Unless they're going to do a storyline where he has to wait till Roman's no longer the champion, could be waiting for a very long time. Could actually be a fun storyline with Money in the Bank. Or knowing WWE, they'll probably just ignore it and say it's now vetoed and he can do what he wants. But I don't have him winning this match. I don't have Omos winning this match either. I think it's a bad fit personally to have him in the ladder match, but I can see why WWE has done it because, well, when it comes to a big man, they like to have these highlight reel spots. Maybe they could do the match like they did Braun Strowman style, where Omos is pretty much facing everybody in the match. They're just trying to get him down and out of the match the best way they can. They could do a big spot where Omos could be, if he can get up high on the ladder, could be throwing something like KO or Sami Zayn off the ladder through tables or some big spot like that. Personally, for me, I hope they go down the Big Show route. This is what I'd like to see with Omos in the match, where he attempts to climb the ladder because, well, the idea is meant to be he can kind of reach the contract without climbing the ladder. He's going to need to climb a little bit, but when he tries to climb the ladder breaks. He can look out to MVP and be like, well, what do I do? And MVP says, look, don't worry, look under the ring, I've got you covered. And they've got that sort of, you know, sort of special ladder they have, which is set for big guys. It's much more heavier, much bigger in weight, and can hold more superstars on it. They did that with Big Show many years ago. I think it could be fun to bring that back here. It's got to be sitting in a WWE warehouse somewhere, hasn't it? So for me, that would make a lot of sense to bring that in for the match, and also to have almost buried under a load of ladders towards the end of it, where every superstar knows they need to team together to get him out of the match. I think could make a lot of sense. With Drew McIntyre, it makes sense for him to win the match because of the fact that maybe Roman doesn't want to face him at Clash at the Castle. If he has the contract, he can cash in ahead of time and say, Roman, you need to be there. Get off that island of relevancy. You're coming to Cardiff, Wales. But Sheamus, in my opinion, is there to stop him. I think they will cancel each other out. I expect them to have a singles match at SummerSlam this year. Also, Sami Zayn, I think, could be a lot of fun in this role. Sami is the person I want to win Money in the Bank this year. I just don't think it's going to happen. The fact he's looking to protect Roman Reigns, or how will he protect Roman Reigns if he's the one that has the briefcase? I've done some fantasy booking on the idea, the fact he could be teased with fans. Should he cash in? Should he not? If there's a vulnerable Roman, I mean, Roman's not around anyway at the moment, so you're going to have to cash in ahead of time if you want to, but I do think it could be a starting place, whether he wins or loses, to get a babyface Sami Zayn back. That has to be the end goal with Sami Zayn and the Bloodline. I'd love to see a top babyface in Sami Zayn on SmackDown going forward towards the end of 2022. But my prediction for you, of course, I'm going with the obvious. I'm going with the favourite, Seth freaking Rollins. It makes the most sense here at this particular point of the game because, well, Seth has been losing matches to Cody, lost the entire series. He needs to get some momentum back. Money in the Bank is some way that you can do it quick overnight to get all that heat back. Of course, he's the person that's had Roman Reigns' number as well. He's the only person not to lose in a singles match to Roman Reigns in, well, years now at this point. Of course, it was a disqualification victory at the Royal Rumble, but a victory is a victory nonetheless. And if Roman gets vulnerable, you know Seth knows how to cash in a Money in the Bank heist of the century at WrestleMania 31. Roman and Brock are facing again at SummerSlam. You wouldn't put it past Seth doing it again. Of course, Seth could also do it on the road to WrestleMania. That could lead to when Cody Rhodes returns, Seth versus Cody for the championship. Or he could hold it till Cody returns, wins the championship, and then cashes in on a vulnerable Cody Rhodes as he gets that magic moment. All of them sound beautiful. Seth Rollins knows how to cash in a Money in the Bank, which is why I think he is the perfect candidate to win Money in the Bank this year. So that's my predictions there for you for Money in the Bank 2022. Let me know your predictions in the comments below. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with me? How do you think it's going to play out? How do you think the Money in the Bank winners are going to cash in the briefcases? I look forward to reading all the comments in the comment section. If you've enjoyed this video, then please like it, share with a friend, and subscribe as well. Plenty more videos coming on the channel this week, as well as Money in the Bank themed videos as well. So make sure to turn the notifications bell on. You can be notified each and every time a video is released here on SCW, including what is the greatest Money in the Bank ladder match of all time according to Wrestling YouTube. A lot of talented wrestling content creators will be joining me on the video, so make sure to check that one out. It's gonna be a lot of fun. But enjoy yourselves, have a great day, enjoy Money in the Bank. Of course, like I say, more videos on the way, including a review for the show as well. Plenty of excuses to keep things on SCW. Check out some of the videos on the side of the screen right now. Have yourselves a great day, and I'll see you next time.